I'm all right. Hell no. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
Steer from the 3. Streaks across the 30. He might be gone.
It's up. Gaston to the right. Oh,
they got blockers. They got blockers. They've got a lane.
Into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami. Darrell Langham with the grab.
Stars intercepted. Look out. Trajan Bandy, the true freshman. We got the truth again.
Because when the U is on and the U brings it, there's nothing like it. We got to get there. And it's going to take everybody.
What's up, Kings fan? Welcome to another episode of the Miami Nights podcast. It is Thursday. It is Friday Eve. And that could only mean one thing. It is time for the opponent prep show. It is time for the Beat Virginia Tech show. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. Thanksgiving's next week. We are in crunch time now in this season. Life is good, all right? I'm rocking the stash. Forgive the bareness behind me, the apartment being kind of a mess. This is moving week for the Nugent household, so a lot going on, but happy to be on this show and giving us a little bit of prep going into Virginia Tech week and just overall taking a look at what's happened with Miami Hurricanes in this past week since we dropped our main show on Monday. Go check that out. Main show drops every Monday, and then we do a little opponent prep on Thursday. Sometimes we bring in opposing team podcasts to jump in, do a little interview with us, and other times, like today, it is just me going solo. So glad to be with you. Let's take what we usually do is we usually kind of take a peek back as what's happened this week, starting with Monday. Monday is the Mario Cristobal press conference. And so just some notes from Monday's press conference. Coach Cristobal did mention that Keontae Scott's injury is serious, and he does not think he will be back this season. So tough news there. It was a great season for Keontae Scott. Hope he heals up and gets ready for the league, but thank you for everything that he's done for this team this season, and it's a bummer he's not going to be able to finish it out, but what a special season he had. Coach did also praise Scott and CJ Daniels for their leadership on the sidelines, even when they are not playing and when they're out hurt. Kind of just speaks to the overall culture of this team, and so it's been cool to see those guys step up in that leadership position, even when they're dinged up and not able to get out there on the field. He did say Elijah Lofton has been playing through injury and kind of credited that to some of his mistakes and struggles this season. Here's the thing there. I am a big proponent that if you are on the field, if you're healthy enough to be on the field, then you just can't use injury as an excuse. So I get it. He's playing dinged up. A lot of guys are playing banged up right now this time of year. If you're on the field, you got to make plays. And if you're not healthy enough to make those plays, then you shouldn't be on the field. So that's my thought there. Actually, this next note reminds me, I'm going to take a sip of my own coffee here. Just made a coffee run right before this. A delicious coffee shop. So excuse me for a second. While I take that sip, it reminds me of this note that what is up with this cup that Mario Cristobal has in these press conferences that he walks away from the podium to grab, drink, and then goes and sets it down? Can somebody in the room tell me, is there a table nearby that he's setting it down on that he can't just set it down in front of him? Also, this cup seems to be empty every time he sips it. I get it. I think it's cafecito, which is what he likes to drink, an espresso-type drink, so I get it's not a full cup of coffee. But can we get him a smaller cup then? I just don't know what we're doing here. But he has this big styrofoam cup. Go watch the replay of the press conference, and he does it every time, every press conference. He has this big styrofoam cup with a wooden straw in it, and he sips it, and he looks like he's tipping it upside down to get anything out of it. And then he goes, walks away. He literally walks out of screen, sets it down on a table. I don't get it. It kind of frustrates me, to be honest with you. But whatever. He's enjoying. The man loves his cafecito. I love my coffee. I'm going to take one more sip here. Apologize. And onward we go. Another note I had is, if you close your eyes and listen to Coach Cristobal talk during these press conferences, when he talks about the upcoming opponent, Folks, you would think we are playing the 2019 LSU Tigers every single week. I mean, my God. He talks about this Virginia Tech team like they are undefeated, number one team in the country, instead of what they are, and that is a team that is bottom of the ACC league. They're not going to make a bowl game. They fired their coach in the beginning of the season. It's coach speak at its finest. The man respects the opponent, so I guess I'll give him that. But my goodness. Coach feels great about CJ Daniels and Mark Fletcher to return this week, so good news there. OJ Frederick still questionable, so if I had to guess, it sounds like CJ Daniels 100% a go. Mark Fletcher, you never know with Mario Cristobal. He says he feels really good about it, which could mean he's out for the year. If I had gun to my head, whoa, don't put a gun to my head. What if a gun was at my head? I would say Mark Fletcher, they're going to sit him out again. I think Pringle gets the start. And then I don't see OJ Frederick playing this week. Keep him healthy for some of the bigger games coming up. Hopefully games with a S. Mario also was asked about the college football playoff. We're going to get into the college football playoff rankings in a second here, but he did say that he thinks head-to-head should be the number one deciding factor for who makes the college football playoff. You would think that is what everybody thinks, but apparently that's a controversial take. We will get to that in a second. Okay, so that's notes for the Mario Cristobal press conference. We move on to Tuesday. The infamous Mario Cristobal show starring Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr. My biggest note from this, guys, I think Joe Zagacki is kicking himself that he's not wearing the Veterans Day polo that Mario was wearing. Joe Zagacki, if you remember, if you are a avid watcher of this show like I am, I think I am the only reason they have any ratings. Joe Zagacki was wearing that polo last week. Yes, so he saw Mario Cristobal walk into that room on Tuesday and was like, you've got to be kidding me. Me and him could have been matching, but nope, alas, that was not it. Joe is rocking some sort of windbreaker, and can someone get Don Bailey a new polo? My God. This man is wearing a polo from maybe 2020. It might be from our first year with Adidas, honestly. I have that polo he's wearing. Well, I no longer have it, but I wore that polo he's wearing a long time ago. Please, Christmas is coming. Get this man a upgraded polo. Let's get with the times, Don Bailey. Other notes. Mario said that not only is Bryce Fitzgerald a true freshman, he didn't get on campus until the summer. So what he's doing is special. This kid is going to be extremely special for us in the future. Very excited about Bryce Fitzgerald and the upcoming years. Joe Zagacki, the nice little note here that we are a top 10 defense in the nation. And excuse me, if I have a little cold, yeah, 'tis the season. But we actually have the number one defense in conference play. So out of all the conferences and interconference matchups, Miami with the number one defense. Corey Heatherman, you dog. Mario praises the DNA of Virginia Tech. He's a big DNA guy, and how the players haven't quit since Brent Pry getting fired. I mean, yeah, that's definitely of note. Teams can fold and quit and lose every single game from there on out when a coach gets fired, and you haven't seen that from the Hokies. There is a talent deficit there. They have still lost a ton, but they're out there fighting. They still have some athletes. I think the news with James Franklin becoming their head coach is probably going to be a nice little shot in the arm for them. It's going to be a little juiced up atmosphere come Saturday at Lane Stadium. So just something to note. Keep that in mind. And lastly here, a note from the show. Mario said that Miami had 7 starters out versus NC State. So we're playing banged up. It wasn't our best foot forward yet on the field. We certainly put our best foot forward and then some. We excelled even with those starters out. So just shows you the depth of this team is growing. This is a team that is getting stronger year over year. Love to see it. Okay, I'm going to take one more sip of coffee before we get into the college football playoff rankings. Deep breath, people. Deep breath while I take this sip. Okay. College football playoff rankings. Let me just pull them up. just so I have all of the accurate numbers, even though I think I have looked at this ranking now 100 times. Miami Hurricanes, as everybody knows by now, coming at number 13, okay? I think after being 15 last week, I think the biggest note here is they did jump Vanderbilt. A lot of people, Jimmy, my brother, co-host of this show, along with our other co-host, Kurt Kramer, Jimmy did not think that we would jump Vanderbilt. He thought they would keep Vanderbilt in front of us, and I get it, that SEC bias is strong. So this was a little bit of a surprise, a nice surprise for Miami Hurricanes fans to see Miami at 13. There is a lot of other issues with this playoff ranking. So real quick, I'll take you all the way up to 13. You got 1 Ohio State, 2 Indiana, 3 Texas A&M, 4 Georgia, 5 Texas Tech, 6 Ole Miss, 7 Oregon, 8 Oklahoma, 9 Notre Dame, 10 Alabama, 11 BYU, 12 Utah, 13 Miami. Here are the biggest issues with this rankings that I have. I think a lot of Miami Hurricane fans share this sentiment. Starting with Utah being at 12. There is nothing that adds up to Utah being ranked ahead of us. Except for the Utah AD is a new addition to the College Football Playoff Committee. Isn't that convenient? Utah has the same record as us, but their best win is, mark it now, number 25 Arizona State, who was not ranked before this rankings. They somehow, if you see my air quotes, somehow slipped into the top 25 to give Utah that ranked win, even though when Utah beat Arizona State had their third-string quarterback. So, yeah, I don't quite get that. Nothing about Utah being ranked there makes any sense until you look a little deeper, until you put your little conspiracy hat on and see where old Notre Dame sits at number 9. The committee has already said, in a rule that seems to have been made up this year, that if teams are more than 3 spots apart in the rankings, they can't compare them. They can't compare head-to-head wins. So up to this point, Miami and Notre Dame have not been able to be compared head-to-head. Yeah, you heard that right. It's insane. So by conveniently putting Utah there, you now have 4 spots in between Miami and Notre Dame. Also, mind you, they ranked Alabama 1 slot after Notre Dame. If they're going by metrics and good wins, Alabama should be ahead of Notre Dame. But Alabama drops, they're not. It doesn't make sense unless you're like, they just don't want Miami and Notre Dame to be close together. I don't know. It's insane to me. They also asked about Miami. Chris Fowler asked about, not Chris Fowler. Gosh, Reese Davis asked the college football chair what he thinks about the Miami Notre Dame head-to-head. He started by saying, well, Notre Dame has better losses. And then he went on to talk about the tiers and how Miami, Notre Dame, they just can't be compared head-to-head together. First of all, I never want to hear that ever again, that 2 teams that played each other and one of those teams won, you're comparing their losses. What are we talking about? This is a game about wins. What happened last year, their biggest metric was quality wins. It's why Miami got left out of the playoff, even going 10-2, because we didn't have the quality wins. But this year, all I'm hearing is quality losses. It's the same exact thing they said about Utah. They said Utah has better quality losses than Miami. What are we talking about? Furthermore, how, excuse my frustration, but how, when it's as simple as 2 teams with the same record, when you see 2 teams with the same record, you see, did they play each other? If the answer is yes, you see what team won, and you put that team ranked ahead. To me, that's not rocket science. Okay, how about 2 teams ranked the same record, Miami, Alabama? Did Miami and Alabama play each other? The answer is no. So then you look, well, does Miami and Alabama have any common opponents? They do. And what is that common opponent? FSU. What happened with that? FSU rolled Alabama week 1. Miami rolled FSU later in the season. So you would think in a rational thinking world, Miami would be ranked ahead of Alabama. Nope, Alabama 10, Miami 13. None of it makes sense. It's all insane, and it's a travesty. If Miami wins out and gets left out of this playoff because of a team like Utah, a team like Alabama, a team like Notre Dame, if those teams are ahead of Miami, it is an absolute travesty. It's a shame. It's shameful, and everybody in that committee should be ashamed of themselves. What I also think happened is this committee realized they ranked Miami way too low in that first rankings, and now they're slowly moving Miami back up, but it's too little too late, committee. You should have never had us that low in the first place. You should have never had that large of a gap between us and Notre Dame. Their biggest fear is having to put Miami over at Notre Dame. And they basically said, if Miami and Notre Dame, if they're within that 3-spot threshold that this committee just made up in their crazy world, if they're within that 3 spot, the head-to-head really, really matters. We see that with Oklahoma, and we see that with across the board here with Oklahoma, Alabama being ranked ahead. So if that happens, Miami will be ahead of Notre Dame. I just don't know if they're going to let it happen. They can control what the distance is between Miami and Notre Dame. If Miami wins out, they should be within those 3 spots of Notre Dame and should get the nudge. It all just depends on how corrupt this thing is. Makes me sick. And yeah, let me see. I know my brother texted me something about this playoff he wanted me to talk about. He's fired up. We're all fired up. Joe, he says, Joe, talk about in the pod how Bama is also conveniently behind Notre Dame so as to keep them from being ranked too close to us. Sure did, Jimmy. I already talked about it. I already hit on that. Good note. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on the rankings. I'm happy that Miami jumped Vandy, but there's more teams that we deserve to jump at this point, and you just got to make it happen, committee. You made mistakes early on. It's fine to correct those, and onward we go. Okay, let's get into a little Virginia Tech prep before we close the show with what games we need to watch, what games we're rooting for, what teams to make some magic happen for the rest of the season. Let's see. So Virginia Tech, folks, that's who we're playing this week. At Virginia Tech, Lane Stadium, enter Sandman. What an atmosphere it is. As much as I hate Virginia Tech, you can't help but respect that entrance. It's pretty cool. 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Got lucky with that noon slot. Always rather play them in the daytime than at night at Lane. Miami 17.5-point favorites at time of recording this show. Obviously, this is a must-win for Miami. We have to win out. That's doesn't need to be said, but I said it. But you do need to be careful about playing a rival with nothing to lose at home right when they just hired James Franklin. So I just want people to keep that in mind, that they're going to be coming out with a lot of juice. So do not be shocked if this first quarter isn't what you want it to be. Don't be shocked if Virginia Tech comes out fired up playing the best football they have all season, because it's Miami. It's their rival. They literally have nothing to lose. They've got a bright future now with James Franklin, so they're going to be feeling good. They're playing spoilers that they would like nothing more than to end Miami's college football playoff hopes. So you just got to kind of weather the storm in the first quarter and then let talent take over. Obviously, Kyron Drones he's a dangerous athlete, but he has struggled this season, much like most of this Virginia Tech team. He has a QBR of 55.4. Compare that to Carson Beck's of 78.5. So Kyron Jones has struggled a little bit this season, but he's still athletic. He can still run. He can still make plays. They run a nasty little RPO with him, and really that's the strength of their offense, is their rushing attack. So they rank in the top 25 in rushing. Last week they rushed for 238 yards in their loss versus FSU, averaging almost 6 yards a carry. So they are going to try to RPO us to death. We don't need to be worried about the passing game, but we just need to be worried about the option game, the rushing attack. You need to be able to handle that. Marcellus Hawkins, he's their senior transfer from Central Missouri. He leads the way on the rushing with 677 yards on the year, almost 7 a carry, and then Drones is second on that team in rushing with 577 yards and has 9 total rushing touchdowns. So that duo back there running that option, that read option with the quarterback, it can be tough to defend at times. And so that's something that Miami is going to have to play very disciplined on. I think we will. I think we've shown a very strong ability to stop the run. We have not faced a read option this prolific, though, all season. So we will just have to make sure to stay in our lanes, stay in your assignments, attack the football, make the tackle. Let's see here. Defensively, Virginia Tech ranks almost dead last in every category. Yeah, they are terrible defensively. So Miami, much like against NC State, should be able to score a lot of points. The only thing that they have going for them really is, and kind of what can make you a little nervous, is that they shorten games. So with this rushing attack, they will shorten games. Games will go quick. Clock runs. And so, excuse me, let me take one more sip of coffee here. Got a little thing in my throat. Battling that cold. We're all battling injury this time of year, folks. It's going to be very important for Miami to start fast, to get that lead, because your worst fear is Virginia Tech to jump on a lead and then just start working clock, and then we start pressing. You know the recipe for an upset. So that's just something we got to avoid. As with every Virginia Tech team, they place a premium on special teams. It's what they do. It's Beamer ball, even though there's no Beamer left there. So I do expect at least one fake punt, fake field goal, whatever, on Saturday. You got to be buttoned up on special teams because Virginia Tech will expose it. And yeah, just some notes overall about the rivalry. It is a great one. Stems all the way from the Big East days starting in 1991. Virginia Tech hasn't beaten Miami since 2019 and hasn't beaten them at Lane Stadium since 2016. So we've kind of owned this series as of recent. Flashback to last year, the controversial ending of the Hail Mary that was overturned. It was never even close to being a reception, but something Virginia Tech remembers well. It is Virginia Tech's senior day, so they, they got a little juice in that stadium. I'm telling you, it is a noon kickoff. It is a bad Virginia Tech team, but it's going to be a little bit of a different atmosphere than what we were expecting maybe a few weeks ago. James Franklin's in town. Senior day. Chance to knock Miami out of the playoff. A lot going for them. Miami leads the series overall 26-15, which is a shock to me because most of my childhood, and I looked at the games past, and it was that 3-year span. I was specifically remembering it was maybe from like 2009 to 2011. Whoa, 9/11, never forget. Somewhere around that range, that Virginia Tech just owned us, and they always had the quarterback that just ran for 1,000 yards. But yeah, overall, Miami owns this series. We've owned them recently. I expect them to own us. I expect us to own them on Saturday. That's all I got for Virginia Tech, guys. Let's close with looking at the college football schedule this week and where we're going to be watching, who we need to be rooting for. Let me start with the scenario for Miami to make the ACC championship. It's a long shot, but there is a path, and the path isn't as crazy as you might think. Okay? So, obviously, step one, Miami has to win their next 2 games. Has to beat Virginia Tech, has to beat Pitt. That much is clear. The other thing that is crystal clear is we need Pitt to beat Georgia Tech. That is something that has to happen. If Pitt loses to Georgia Tech, it's all over for Miami. So we need Pitt to beat Georgia Tech first and foremost, which I think can happen. We then need Duke to beat North Carolina. I think that happens. As long as Manny Diaz doesn't pull a Manny. And we need Louisville to beat SMU. That could be tough. And outside of this, guys, there are a couple other scenarios. This is the most straightforward one. So that's what we need this week. Miami beats Virginia Tech. Duke beats North Carolina. Pitt beats Georgia Tech. Louisville beats SMU. And then next week, Let's not even get it. Well, I'll just tell you. SMU needs to beat Cal. Wake Forest needs to beat Duke. If those things happen, Miami is in. This week, though, we are rooting for Duke to beat North Carolina, for Pitt to beat Georgia Tech, and for Louisville to beat SMU. I think all three of those things can happen. I think it's going to happen. Let's just keep praying, okay? Looking at the rest of the league, at the rest of the schedule, here we go. I am scrolling down. Ooh, Friday night, Florida State at NC State. How sweet would it be if NC State can find a way and win that game? After we just blew them out, if they go and beat Florida State, oh, that would be beautiful. All right, here we go now with Saturday. It's amazing how bad of teams people play this time of year. Oh, it makes me sick. Excuse me, jeez. Rutgers at Ohio State. Go Rutgers. Yikes. Samford at Texas A&M. Ugh. Mizzou at Oklahoma. Let's go Mizzou. That'd be sweet. That would help. Miami at Virginia Tech, obviously. We go down the list. We see a little bit of Charlotte at Georgia. You heard that right, folks. Georgia with a real tough one against Charlotte on Saturday. Good Lord. Oh, it gets even better. Eastern Illinois at Alabama. Guys, it should be illegal to play an FCS team in November. If you want to play an FCS team, it has to happen in September. What are we doing? Mercer at Auburn. Remember last year when Miami had a bye week, Alabama played Mercer, and Alabama beat Mercer, so they jumped Miami in the college football playoff rankings the next week? Gotta love it. Quality win, I guess, right? We go down the list. We've got USC at Oregon. This is an interesting one. A lot of people say we want Oregon to lose, right? No. It's too dangerous. That USC beating Oregon's too dangerous for us to, if the committee then jumps USC over us and keeps Oregon there. Like, you don't want to mess with that. Let's knock USC out for good. They're too close to us there at 15. Just let Oregon win that, all right? Syracuse at Notre Dame. I mean, go Cuse. Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Go Kentucky. Arkansas at Texas. Go Arkansas. Although it seems for all intents and purposes, Texas is done. Huge drop for them in the rankings, 7 spots. We go down the list. Here we go. Tulane at Temple. I'd like to see Tulane. I mean, actually, James Madison kind of got screwed by these rankings, so maybe I like Temple here so James Madison can get a spot. Guys, big one. Kansas State at Utah. Let's go Wildcats. My brother-in-law is a strength and conditioning coach at Kansas State. So I got my Kansas State polo. This kicks off at 4 o'clock. As soon as that Miami game's over, I'm throwing on the Kansas State polo. I'm the biggest Kansas State fan you've ever seen this week. Come on, Kansas State. Get it done. Utah, 17.5-point favorites. Gosh. Michigan at Maryland. Would love to see Michigan out of the picture, too. TCU at Houston. Don't care. We go down the list. Clemson plays Furman. Good God. Pitt at Georgia Tech. This is that big one I was talking about. Need Pitt. Come on, Pitt. Please. One time. Georgia Tech just a 2.5-point favorite. I got Pitt winning outright. We go down the list. Tennessee at Florida. Come on, Gators. Welcome, silly Gators. Illinois at Wisconsin. Do not care. Another big one. BYU at Cincinnati. Come on, Cincinnati, the Bearcats. So we want Wildcats. We want Bearcats. We want the Panther Cats to win. Arizona State at Colorado. It's a joke. Arizona State is ranked. It's a travesty. It only is there to boost up Utah, but whatever. There they are. And yeah, that's it for the week, guys. That's who you need to be rooting for. That's what we need to be watching. Miami's playing meaningful football close to Thanksgiving. So what more can you ask for than this? Let's go just get the job done against Virginia Tech, take care of our own business, and let things just happen. I think there's been a lot of noise from the media. I've liked it. A lot. Everybody I see is on Miami's side here, except for the committee. So keep making the noise. Keep putting that pressure on the committee to put the Canes in because they deserve it. They are a top 12 team easily in the country, and they need to be in the playoffs, especially over the likes of Utah and Notre Dame. I'll sound like an idiot if we go and lose on Saturday, which I don't think we will. Miami at Virginia Tech, 12 o'clock Eastern at Lane Stadium, ESPN. Let's go, Canes. Talk to you guys on Monday. Bye.